What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Black Desert video. So today we're going to be talking about the hyper boost changes. Now, this is apparently a pretty big thing in the recent patches, and especially since the Heidel Ball, because they were talking about catch-up mechanics for newer players, returning players, and everything. But it isn't super obvious what actually changed, and I wanted to break it down for you guys. So I made a little bit of a list of things that got changed, and we're going to talk about it, especially for people who have no idea what's happening and what it actually is. So, first and foremost, they changed the Tuvala gear for seasonal characters, and basically these numbers are more reflective of Fallen God, and what that is your next step in progression after seasonals. They made Fallen God a lot easier. We'll talk about that in a second, but they kind of just boosted all the stats of everything and the armors, just so it kind of like makes it smoother in transition of stats, because like before it would be like 20 DP down compared to Fallen God is a huge jump. Now they're making that transaction like more like a line up instead of just going like, this is your stats, and then it goes up with Fallen God and then goes from there. So it's just more smoother. So I think that's overall a good thing. Seasonal gear, you don't do anything super differently. It just gives more stats in general. So new players, that's great. The next thing we're going to be talking about is the different quests you can get and what you have to do to get Kharazad accessories and Fallen God armors. It's a lot easier now. So before you had to craft it, is way more expensive. Now you just get it for free. You get it at the base level, which is, fine. But let me show you. So in your suggested tab, there's going to be a quest called a leveling aid to a higher goal. And basically, by the time you're at this point, you're already around 300-ish AP, just because they give you like multiple free pen black stars. You can convert it into sovereign and everything else. So getting 300 AP is not actually as daunting as it may sound like, a year ago. So basically what happened is under the suggested tab, there's a Black Spirit support. You do all these and you basically get all the different Fallen God armors. And you just do them at your own time. It's not really a super big deal, but it's like 305 to 315 AP. And then the support ones over here, it's pretty straightforward. Bring Essence of Dawn and turn in Sharps to get the, upgrades for Kharazad. These are super important, especially if you're a new player, because enhancing these later on is probably going to be where the mid game is, and getting it to the new accessory later on for end game is what you're going to be working on, but that's another topic. So you're probably looking at this and it says pen, and you're like, oh, so I don't have to upgrade it because pen. So the way it works, I know a lot of people got confused about this, and I've had to explain this multiple times. If you look at any of the Fallen God armor, right, so they all say pen, but what you look at is these red dots under the armor where it says like 1 red dot, 2, 3, 4, 5. I wish they made it a different color because it like kind of blends in, and it would just make it easier for people to actually see what's the difference. But what you would look at is basically the name of Desperate, Distorted, Silent, Wailing, or the number of dots under here. We just ignore the obliterating. That one is just kind of like almost impossible to get, and it's not really worth going for. So anyway, you just get to Wailing eventually. That's the goal. 4 dots. And then you exchange it for Adana armor, which is pushing into the end game. So yeah, either way, they reduced the Agris amount to guarantee it to the next upgrade, which if you're a new player coming in as of like 2 weeks ago, this Agris essence used to be at 50 going into Tet. Now they dropped the numbers significantly for everyone, which is actually a very nice thing. I've been hoping for that for a while, and especially people in the mid game, this was their bottleneck, getting from Tri to Tet. So either way, yeah. So to explain it once again, the number of dots is what you look at, or the name, and that's how you know what's different. I wish they just kind of, got rid of that V because it just confuses people. Everything, it looks like pen, but it's okay. So as we talked about that, it gives you all the pieces of the base gear with no dots, and then you enhance it from there. Some people might get confused with these two because there's a blue and then there's a green version. Now, the difference is if you look at it, you're probably like, oh, these stats are the same. But for most people, the blue one is the way to go, simply because one is more damage reduction and the green one is more evasion. So what you would look at is, you see the number at the top under the 72, right? How evasion is less, but damage reduction is higher for blue one, and then this one is a little bit less. So up until like super endgame, evasion is basically irrelevant to most people. So for 99% of people, blue one is just going to be the way to go for, you know, across the board PvE, PvP. And yeah, so like even if you're at mid game and you chose the wrong one, there's a quest to be able to convert it from blue to green, green to blue. So there's no, like, you didn't choose the wrong option, you can convert it. It's not a big deal. And then Kharazad, it's actually super easy to get these. You can buy these off the market, every single material to get it. And what you would do is, I would do them in order of AP. So for example, necklace comes first, simply because 34 AP is more than, you know, 21. So either way, necklace comes first in terms of AP stats, followed by belt or rings, whichever one gives more. So like the belt, and then, you know, earrings will always be last because they give the least amount of AP, and that's what the goal is, to get you the most AP to grind in newer spots, right? So in terms of order, necklace first, followed by belt or rings, whichever. I would probably just choose belt because you get that slot done, and then, you know, earrings always last to give the least amount. So yeah, either way, they're all the same amount of materials. You just get them all at some point, and then you're good to go. And so that's how you get the Fallen God armors, Kharazad accessories. That'll boost you up into the mid game around like 330, 350-ish AP if you're doing adventure journals and everything. So yeah, those are the quests you are definitely wanting to do. And just, it's called leveling A to a higher goal. Just do all these quests and you're good to go, right? Next, they added an adventure log to your quest line and everything. So what you would do is go to the adventure log, and for the first time, if you're doing Calamity bosses, you would do it under 8, and then this is where you get your first rewards from that. And then also the Olvia Academy, this is the newest journal. And then basically, if you have done a bunch of other goals with the other adventure journals, you'll probably already have all these. But the ones that are important are like the Calamity 9 and Calamity, yeah, these two are the ones you're going to have to do again for the Fallen God stuff in general. And it gives you a bunch of hammers and everything. So what is the importance of these? This adventure journal gives you a lot of these ancient blackstones. It gives you a bunch of hammers. Unfortunately, I already melted mine down for crons because I didn't need them. But they allow you to upgrade those Kharazad accessories that you got into a higher tier. And then, you know, it's basically guaranteed. That's where the, you know, it's like free just by doing this. So I've talked about this before. But, you know, under the solo bosses, what you would do is Sengun, like 8 and 9, Gumiho, 8 and 9, and then Golden Pig, 8 and 9. These got nerfed heavily to the point where basically anyone can do them nowadays. I think it's actually pretty free. Just how long it takes you to do it is, you know, dependent on your skill. But otherwise, you know, like, I'm pretty sure you can do this so easily that you will probably never fail it. So unless there's a one-shot mechanic, which I think they toned down, there's no problems getting it. So if you want to know the mechanics, I have videos talking about every single boss that is currently available, and all the way from 8 to 10 for every single boss if you want to learn them. But for the most part, 8 and 9s for these specific ones are like super easy. You don't really even need to know anything. You just go in and do damage. So yeah, make sure to do the adventure logs, especially in the Olvia Academy journal, because these give a bunch of nice fail stacks. And then, you know, these ancient stones, the Essence of Dawn, which you're going to need to, you know, get those Kharazads, or you can just buy them off the market. Ancient hammers allow you to upgrade your accessories and everything, and blackstones for your weapons and everything. So yeah, it's a good idea to do this. Olvia Academy journal helps new players catch up really easily. Next, what they added was they added new season tokens, which allow you to basically, you know, there's a lot of catch-up stuff for life skillers, people who want to have other characters. They have the pocket watch, and they also added this for the Atanas element allows people to get their infinite potions a lot faster. You get these pretty easily nowadays. So these will allow you to get your infinite potions for basically free. They're under consumables, I believe, and then potions. And then you would sort them by these. These are infinite potions. If you don't know what they are, you just have them, put them in your family inventory. If you have a fairy that auto uses them, that's great. And so everything is all good. Anyway, next thing we have is the season pass. For all of you who are playing on seasonal characters, let me go show you that real quick. And they've made a couple of changes. So let me show you what actually changed. Aside from the whole seasonal thing just being easier in general, which I think is a good thing. So they changed a lot of stuff in the season pass over here. Well, I guess I can't show you, but everything has just been changed. The rewards are better. The highlights of that would be under here. You get the seasonal adventure tokens. We talked about that in another video, and the things you should get. But overall, it is mostly anything that you think you would need. Like, I would probably prioritize the season support box, infinite potion ones. A lot of these other ones you can get by doing other events, but it's not too bad. They also revamped the Olvia Academy for season 3. And if you've never done Olvia Academy before, all of these will be like, you know, behind the combat and field tactics, and then you unlock all of them. It's definitely worth it doing it for your first time. Bunch of cronstones, essences that you're going to need, bunch of hammers to get your, you know, final black star up into sovereign. Newest one for season 3 was this bottom row, which it gives you a gem of twilight. So by the time you'd finished all of this, most people should have basically triple black stars or going into the sovereign, which is the end game weapons, and start getting your hearts from, or for Garmoth, which is upgrades. If you're thinking about doing life skills, all of these are basically the same. I have a guide on how to do every single one of them, and you can just find it. And then it helps you catch up by giving you all these different, basically blue gear. So it's like halfway into endgame gear. So like there's, you know, Logia, blue gear, Monos being the endgame, and then this gives you the blue gear, so it's like halfway, and then you go from there, depending on which one you like. So just do all of that. Once again, more cronstones, a lot more cronstones. Definitely worth doing at least once. And then going forward, if you complete it, it really depends on the rewards, if it's worth it again. But definitely change this, do your season pass. Whether you buy the second row or not, it's kind of irrelevant, but, you know, just be able to finish it. Get to level 60, super easy. You don't really even have to enhance anything anymore. It just kind of gives it to you through questing and various objectives. So yeah, it's a lot. Seasonals is just a lot easier nowadays. And then yeah, there's that. So with that said, that's basically everything that has been in the HYPERBOOST. TLDR, normal Tuvala gear got boosted to match and make the transition into post-seasonals a lot easier. Bosses are a lot easier to get your Kharazads and everything to mostly transition smoother, if that makes sense. New adventure journals and quests you just do around here. Adventure journals, we just talked about those. Make sure to do your morning bosses in Olvia Academy at the very least. Get everything done in here. And then infinite potions. Here's what I would do. When you get your infinite potions, put them in your family inventory. You probably only have 2 to 4 inventory slots by default without having to pay for more of them. These go in there as a high priority, because what allows you to do is you could use it on all your characters through here, and then you combine it with your fairy, and then this is what it looks like by default. So by default, these are blank. You put your infinite potions here. If you don't have them, you have these, and then you just always use them, and then you're good to go. So super easy. Anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. Next week is going to be a pretty big week. We have Adania Part 2, endgame stuff, and new grind spots, new gear to talk about. So for all of you in the mid to endgame, this is going to be pretty important for you. And yeah, we got some cool videos to talk about. So yeah, next week, busy week. Be sure to tune in again. Hit that subscribe button if you're new, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace.